So I'm going to do a quick screencast of the stuff that we've been talking about on the mailing list, as if I had been doing a bunch of development and I was about ready to put together a pull request. I'm going to use all the test work that I've been writing for Windmill. I'm not really ready to push this, but I'll go ahead and create a pull request and then just close it. First, like I create a development branch that is a fork off of develop. If we switch over to getX, what you can see is, here is the develop branch right here, and then I created a fork, and I wrote this windmill test for class and some more test work. These aren't good commit messages, so this is just me working. And then I merged develop into my environment because it moved forward for whatever reason, and then I have some more commits after that. And I want all of my commits to be after this develop branch, which means I want to move these two commits to be kind of after this point and remove this merge. And so I'll do that with rebase. If I go over to the command line, I can actually see like these are my commits: windmill test, removing some text files, final FX tests, etc. All of these things amount to, hey, I wrote a bunch of tests. And when it comes to reviewing this work, no one wants to go through and review each of these things individually, because they're going to find things like, oh, I left some text files here that didn't need to be there and stuff like that. This doesn't need to be reviewed because it should have never been there. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebase. Rebase doesn't always go cleanly. Sometimes you have merge conflicts and stuff like that. If you're on a development branch and you always are rebasing against develop, you're going to have a lot fewer problems than if you do a merge. So I created a merge commit in my history here specifically to illustrate kind of like what happens when you have one. I happen to know that when I do a rebase, I'm not going to have any conflicts because I kind of created this thing after rebasing a bunch. So get rebase develop. You can see it rewinds my stuff, and now it fast forwards, and then it applies everything. So now if we go back over to getX, we can see here's the develop branch, and then here's all of my work. It's my practice to when I'm getting ready to do a commit, not only to rebase, but to rebase interactively and squash all the commits. I think this is something that we should do most of the time. I've argued for it. It's not very hard, and it especially makes sense when you have a bunch of commits that were you just kind of like working, but really they're all the same task, which is creating windmill tests. So get rebase develop. This is going to rewind again, but now I'm going to hit interactive, and I can change all of these things to be edit, reword, fix up, and squash. We're going to just focus on squash right now, and I just have to change this to an S. So that's an S. And now when I hit write, it's going to do the exact same thing, only now it's going to come up and say, okay, what do you want the commit message to be for this squash commit? I don't want any of these things, actually. The other thing is that I created a lighthouse for this. So that's one of the other things that we were talking about on the mailing list, is that we should endeavor to have tickets for our commits. It doesn't have to be for everything, like if you're just fixing a little typo or something like that. But if lighthouse is where we're going to discuss whether or not something belongs in the branch, or who's going to fix it, or what the priority is and stuff like that, then we should have lighthouse tickets. So my format here is lighthouse 365, and then I usually just copy the title, assuming that it's a good one. And then I'll link to it. So now I have the single commit on the history, and I'm gonna now push this up in my develop tests branch. Git push origin develop tests. Now I'm pushing this to the MooTools branch. You don't have to do this, but what's nice about this is that anybody who's like pulling from MooTools will quickly see that, hey, I'm working on this stuff. So now let's go back over to here and actually go to, this is the test environment in case you haven't seen it. You know, like you can create really simple, quick tests that are interactive. It's loading the script. So hey, it fetched an image from Flickr. Anyway, GitHub, MooTools more. So now if we look at the branches, you can see that we have a develop tests branch. And I click pull request. The default value here is going to be the name of the branch, and it's also going to default to branching from develop because that's now our tracking branch. So you might want to change that if you're branching off a 1.3 whip or something like that. So I'm going to link to my Lighthouse ticket, and just so that it's a little bit easier to read, I like using the same title. Whoops. The same title that I used in the commit, because when you have a bunch of these things, develop test isn't very descriptive. So please ignore just screencast. So I send my pull request, and now all of these people get an email. What's really nice about this is it doesn't matter if they happen to be awake right now or what time zone they're in, or if they're on a plane. It's like everybody gets an email straight from GitHub that links right back to this thing. I have a single commit that you can go look at. This makes it really easy to comment because you can't comment over here. And so I've changed 39 files, and but I'm still only adding one thing here, which is I'm adding a bunch of tests. And if we ever wanted to roll back all the tests, then we have a single commit to do that. Now, if we didn't want to do that, if we wanted to do a merge instead, then we could. So I'll show you what that would be like. All right, so then let's say, you know, a discussion ensues, and then someone says, "Okay, ship it." So now it's time for me to go back to my command line, and let's say some time has gone by, and so the develop branch may have moved forward. So before I'm ready to push this over to develop, I should rebase again. So it says it's already up to date. So then go back to develop, git merge, develop tests. Because this is a single commit, I don't need the no fast forward rule because I don't want to create a merge commit for a single commit. So now git log, and you can see there's my single commit. So let's go back. So I can go into the ref log and I can go back to any point, to any command that I made, because Git gives you a hash for everything that you do. So we can go back to where I was creating my environment. I'm going to go back to here, my last cherry pick when I was making this thing up. Git reset to there, hard, git log. And so we're back to a point where my merge commit is in the middle of all my work again. So let's say that we're not going to squash, right? First thing we do is I'm going to rebase on develop. So now all my stuff is at the end again. But these commit messages are no good. Now, previously I squashed them all together and I rewrote the commit message. But let's say that I don't want to do that. Let's say I'm going to squash one or two of them. So git rebase -I develop. And so I can either reword things or I can squash them. So let's say I'm going to change that to a squash and change that to a reword, and that one to a squash, and that one to a squash, and that one to a reword. Doesn't matter. So now I'm editing these things. This is windmill test for class and more. So we still want to reference the Lighthouse, which was 365. So you can see I made changes to both class and drag. And then here we have some more drag stuff. So and then finally this one, oh, this got squashed. So let's see. And then last one. So now I have, you know, like 3 commits that are all squashed together. Now, granted, if I were kind of doing this as I went, then it wouldn't have been so bad. Like if every time I made a commit, I referenced the ticket, even if, you know, I might squash it sometime down the road. Obviously, it's not going to be quite as tedious, but this is me kind of creating a fake example or whatever. So then again, I'm going to push, git push, origin, develop, tests. And I'm going to force push it because I've just changed it. Force pushing is okay on development topic branches. You should expect people to do that. Let's see here. So now I'm going to go back over here to my pull request. And note that, that my pull request has basically updated itself because GitHub is kind of stupid about this. What I don't like about this is that if I'm specifying from one branch to another, if someone force pushes, then the whole review changes. And what I don't like about that is that if I go in and fix a couple of things based on feedback that I got from a commit, it's hard to tell what really happened between the state that I originally sent it in and what it is now. So it essentially overwrites the review. But anyway, so here are my commits, and here are my files change, which is exactly the same. And so now, let's say I get to ship it. Again, before I'm ready to ship, I should always double check to make sure that that I'm ahead of develop. So rebase develop. Oh, sorry, wrong window. So that's up to date. So then I'm going to check out develop and get merge. Now I need to fast forward because there's more than one commit. So you can see there's a merge on the develop. The one thing that's kind of bad there is I don't like that command line message. So I don't like that merge branch test into develop. So I'm going to change that. This is the thing that I want us to do. So git commit amend, which lets me edit this. And so here I'm going to say Lighthouse 365. I'm going to link to it. And I'm going to link to the review, which is more important in my book. Well, I guess they're about the same. So now we have this git log. Here's my my commit. This is the merger. These are the links to the things. And I can see that these other commits are part of that, right? Like I can see how far back it goes because they all reference the same ticket. And then I would push this. And so that's about it.